welcome to another very exciting, interesting and amazing We the Sheeple. It's so good to be back. I know what you're thinking, Patriots. Has that Nicky Noo had a shave? I have! I've had a shave! I look even more handsome according to my nan, so I thought I'll give it a go. I'll just tone it down a bit. It looks apparently much more professional. So that's what we're going with right now. I may grow it back because I do get a 4 o'clock shadow, so it's inevitable that it will grow back. But you know, for now, I love it. I think it's really good. I feel very handsome. I do. Right, well, on with today's show. We have got a very exciting and interesting guest on today. We've had him on before. He's very good. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Genie Defraud.
Hey, Nicky Noo. It's great to be back on the show.
It's so good to see that warm and welcoming canine face of yours.
Ruff! Very kind, thank you.
So, before we get into the latest intel, I just thought that we could touch upon a point that you made when you were on the show last summer, where you did insist upon, as you call him, Mr. T, coming back in either September or October or November. And of course he didn't come back in September or October or November or even December or January. So I just wanted to, if we could just talk about why that was and just clear it up before we get into the intel, that would be really helpful.
Ruff! Sure. Well, it's pretty simple, but it's all down to timelines shifting, and because of the variations and the variable timelines and things shifting and changing and plans and black hats and things not going quite as the white hats had first anticipated, but they were prepared. They weren't prepared for the tactical nukes that were discovered, but they were prepared, and then timeline had to be shifted, and that's what happened.
Right, okay. Well, I've no idea what any of that means, but it sounds very clever and patriotic, which must mean it's true. So, okay, thank you so much for clearing that up. Now let's get into the latest intel. I'm all ears.
Right, okay, well, thank you, Nicky Noo. I'm just gonna break down basically what we're looking at here. So we've got a shadow government, and they're really trying to push all the boundaries now because they know they're in retreat. They're losing the war, and they know that the light ultimately is going to win here, and God ultimately wins. So I think humanity, when it comes to what's going on presently, is definitely had a Red Sea moment, and we're shifting the timelines again to a more favorable timeline for humanity to really understand who they are, how their history is changed, and therefore change their present and their futures, and they're also understanding and waking up to, because they're awakened, they're waking up to the genetic manipulation that is going on presently. And we saw that a lot with the words that have been spoken recently by General Flynn. Now, General Flynn is solid, and the same cannot be said for the flip hats. I call them flip hats. They're first of all white hats, then they became black hats, and then they flipped again to white hats. And because of that, they're known as flip hats. And basically what we're here seeing is that the dumbs, the tunnels are being emptied. And until they're completely empty, we cannot have the great return of Mr. T. But Mr. T is waiting in the wings. It's definitely going to happen. It's definitely on this particular timeline that we're currently working with. If anything does happen, like we find more tactical nukes, we're going to have to change the timeline again. We're in control. The Patriots are in control of the timeline. And that's what's going to happen. So really, it's a waiting game right now. Although we don't encourage people to sit down and eat the popcorn and wait, even though we've already said that we should do that. We're changing our tack a little bit with that and saying you need to get off of your knees and just really start fighting. And that's why, the EBS is all happening. It's all primed and good to go. And the Alliance are making certain that that is also something that is going to happen. And it's definitely we got to look at Space Force as well. That's happening as well. And this is just what the cabal does. They like to confuse things, and they're interfering with Space Force, and then they're stepping back from Space Force, and now they don't know, because there are flip hats in Space Force and there are white hats in Space Force. So they are retreating because of that. So we're moving into a certain timeline, and we need to just totally understand that we are patriots, and the patriots and God to win in the end. And so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of exciting things happening, and we should never give up hope. We should never stop fighting, because it's all going to come good, in the end.
Bingo! Oh, sorry. I mean bingo, as in you are right on the money with all of that. That sounds absolutely brilliant, very positive as well. It's good to have a positive message in whatever it was that you were saying. Very positive, yeah, and fantastic, exciting, and interesting as well. And as I am contractually obliged to consistently mention that we are in a war, and that we are always at war, and that it's a spiritual war and a war, that sort of thing. It's quite good to sort of balance it out with some positive news, because I am reminded by Fraudy that I've got to say that we're in a war all the time. So it is good to hear you saying something quite positive.
Ruff! Thank you, fellow patriot, and goodbye and God bless.
Anyway, thanks for coming on, Genie Defraud. It's always great to hear your really hypnotically interesting voice, and great to hear all of your exciting patriotic intel. And I'll be excited to see you again on another show. Thank you.
Ruff!
Well, Patriots, I think you'll all agree that that was some very interesting and exciting intel, and that it's probably all going to be true and it's all going to happen. I'm on the edge of my seat. I really am. I absolutely believe him. I really do. And I know that you do as well. It's important, isn't it, to believe what all these intel patriots are telling us, even if their face is a dog. Or a couple of feet up on a ledge. You know, you've got to be able to trust them, haven't you? Because they're dark to light, you know, all that sort of thing. Anyway, thank you so much, Patriots, for tuning in to another We the Sheeple on the Nicky Nacky No TV. And I'll see you again with somebody very important, interesting and exciting to share their intel with me. Thank you so much, Patriots. I'll see you again. Goodbye, Patriots.